Yesterday, for the very first time, I brought you guys an Under Armour sneaker. Never done it before. Happy to bring that to you guys. And today, what I'm bringing you is another semi-rare. It's not really rare, but it's rare for me to bring you a New Balance sneaker. I would say maybe I've done about 5 or 6 New Balance sneakers out of the 500 videos that I've done for YouTube. Whereas if you look at, say, the Jordan line, I've probably done, 40 videos for the Jordan line. So it's unusual for me to do a New Balance sneaker, but when it says Tokyo in the title, I kind of don't have a choice, really. So on April the 24th, what we're going to have is this release of this New Balance sneaker, and I thought I'd bring it to you guys today, look at the details on it, and also compare it to the recently dropped Levi's collaboration, because the Levi's was also a 1300, whereas today we're looking at an RC 1300. And there are some commonalities between the two that I want to draw your attention to as we go step by step and take a look through the Tokyo designed New Balance RC 1300. This is the Tokyo About It 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo About It 23 Sneaker Channel days. Mainichi up soon on day, mainichi media design. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And I've done that for something like 500 continuous days, and I still continue to do it, even though we're in this little lockdown light here in Tokyo, Japan. Things are very stable. We're at very sort of low numbers of cases. In fact, I think we just passed 10,000 cases for the whole country. So things are pretty stable, and they're not rising so much, but we're still in this lockdown light where the recommendation is to stay at home, and they're trying to keep 80% of the population off the streets. And that means that I'm shooting video at home, which I don't usually like to do, and hopefully this green screen will work out for me and my little dog down there isn't going to wake up mid-shot. Even worse than that would be if my little girl woke up, tore the green screen down and knocked the camera over. Fingers crossed that won't happen either. But what we're doing today is we're going to be looking at this Japan design. It's the Japan Design Studio at New Balance. They brought us this RC 1300, and like I said, I want to look at the Levi's as well, because this Levi right here is a 1300 in itself, and then we've got this RC 1300 coming as well. So there's definitely a link between those two sneakers there as well. And I want to talk to you guys and walk through step by step the important design features on this upcoming release, which is dropping on April the 24th, and look at the specific areas on that are of interest. And it's one of those sneakers that when you have a look closer at it, you find out more and more about the detailing, and tends to be, now this is just me, I might be wrong in this, but you know, other people out there might do this as well. But I sometimes don't notice the most important thing about a sneaker, and I didn't notice the most important thing about these sneakers until I started reading up on them. And maybe you can look at this straight away and be like, oh yeah, that's pretty obvious. But it wasn't until it was pointed out to me that I realised that they're mismatched, and it's that mismatch that is the main feature of this sneaker, and it's that mismatch which is definitely a departure from those Levi's 1300s that we talked about. Now, if we look at the Levi's 1300s, it's quite a simple looking shoe, even though it's made of roughed up suede, which gives it an absolute different texture and makes it a real high quality sneaker. But basically it's a 3 or 4 color sneaker, with that suede in the light tan, you've got the blue in there, and then a bit, a couple of hits of orange and white in there as well. But it's very simple in its blocking, very standard, if you like. A couple of details for Levi and stuff and branding on there, but basically a very standard looking sneaker. But then if we look over and come to this Tokyo Design Studio 1300s and look at the color blocking on there, you can see it's a lot more complicated, and that mismatched effect coming on there. Now, it's easy to see mismatch effect number 1, but it's difficult to see mismatch effect number 2. So mismatch effect number 1 we'll look at first, which is around the midfoot and the sort of lacing area of the sneaker. And you can see that on one of them it's in a sort of light blue colorway, and in the other I think it's in a yellow colorway, and they're totally opposite, but it is in that suede. Now, it's easy to sort of see the distinction between the two if you actually go up a little bit from them and look at the toe box. And what's around the toe box is a really rich, deep suede in a very dark blue colorway on both sneakers. So it's the same on both sneakers. There's no mismatching going on there. But as you drag yourself back a bit into that midfoot area, you can see the two different suede panels on there. And the thing I totally dig about this, and it's the main point of the sneaker, and it's the most important thing, and it's the hardest thing to see, is that they actually cross over and into the other sneaker. And by that, what I mean is, if we visualize it this way, that you've got the midfoot here and the heel here, and the midfoot here and the heel here on the left and right sneakers. So if the midfoot is a sort of like aqua blue on one and a yellow on the other, when you cross over to the heel, that color comes with it. and the suede comes with it as well. So instead of it just being two different coloured sneakers, that colour from the right sneaker is actually echoed in the left heel, and the colour from the left sneaker is echoed in the right heel. And hopefully behind me here on this green screen, it won't be too hard for you to see in this difficult circumstances of shooting video at home, which I don't normally do. And so hopefully you'll be able to see that crossover effect there, and I found a good angle to show you what the heel cup looks like and the heel counter looks like, and how that colour matches the midfoot section on the other shoe. But again, both areas, the heel counter and that midfoot, in that really rich suede, which gives these guys a real extra pop of sort of quality and smoothness. But kind of in contrast to that, I suppose, is that the sneakers are basically made of suede and mesh, and the way they've decided to design the mesh on it is in a different way as well, which is kind of interesting, because if you have a look at the toe box, you can really have a look in there and see that it's a heavily perforated mesh on the toe box. So you've got that deep dark blue suede wrapping around the front of the shoe. Within that, in the lighter colour, white, you've got the perforated sort of mesh effect in there, which is a great contrast between the suede on the outside and its solidity, and then the mesh on the inside and it's sort of disrupted by the perforated sort of markings on there. But then if you follow that toe box kind of panel back, it goes all the way up through the tongue, up to the top of the tongue, and the tongue branding there. So all the way through there, you've got that heavily perforated effect, which really does provide contrast to the colour of the suede, and the deep sort of constant of the suede is a very solid colour, a very solid material suede, whereas the mesh being perforated like this is all broken up and gives you that contrast between the two, especially as well with the colours being offset by the mesh and white, which again gives you that contrast. Now if we stay up there on that tongue, you can see that this is one of the places that is similar to the Levi's. Now it's a different colour, but it is in leather, and it is in a similar colourway to those Levi's in that sort of tan effect. So it's a standard leather as opposed to a treated leather or a coloured leather, and that gives that RC 1300 branding on the tongue there to sort of top off the upper half of the shoe. So all in all, what you've got is a really cool sneaker. If you flip them upside down and have a look at the outsole, you can see they've done a lot of work on the outsole here. Now looking at the outsole sort of straight on, you can see the sort of rubber area around the outside, but then also that middle section as well in there with its coloured blue. There's no difference between the left and right sneakers, they're both coloured blue in the outsole like this. But what's interesting, rather than looking at it straight on, is to look at it side on, and you can get a sort of idea of the chunky effect that you've got going on there in that outsole, midsole section. And then if we flip back again to those Levi's and look there again, it's almost like what we're looking at on the Levi's, and then back to these Tokyo Design Studio ones. It's almost like a trail sneaker, really chunky outsole, and it's going to for sure be very durable and last a very, very long time. But also with that thick midsole on there as well, you're going to get a comfortable ride too. So all in all, it's a really, really cool sneaker. You've got a really nice story behind it. You've got really clever detailing and designing with that cross effect in the colorway from midfoot to heel on the opposite sneaker, and then the materials themselves being very rich, thick, luscious suede on top of that perforated mesh, and then to top it all off, that chunky midsole and outsole with the sort of trail effect. A really nice sneaker, a really good looking sneaker, and one of those New Balance that I think people will take a great interest in, especially with that Tokyo moniker on there. Having said that, it wouldn't surprise me if they're a bit disappointed over at New Balance because the Olympics have been pushed back a year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they plan to bring out a Tokyo sneaker in April of 2020, because then that's kind of riding the hype into the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. The Olympics have gone now, they've gone a year later, and maybe the sneaker is a year before its time now, but that's the kind of stuff that's going to be happening. Big question actually to ask is whether or not we're going to follow through with the Olympic themed sneakers. There's a bunch of Olympic themed sneakers due to drop this summer, and whether or not that happens is a big question now that the Olympics have been postponed for at least a year, maybe longer. For now though, time for me to sign off, and thank you guys for checking out my content. I do truly appreciate it. I do try to bring that variety of sneakers, Asics, Under Armour, Reebok, New Balance, but also of course Adidas, Yeezy, Nike, Jordan, those kind of things. So hopefully you appreciate that kind of mix of the content. Hopefully you appreciate this particular video, and you don't mind the effect of me trying to shoot video from home. For now though, it's time for me to sign off, and thank you guys for checking out my content. But because I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.